So recently, Samuel Beckett's most famous play, Waiting for Godot, had to be cancelled because men. Okay, what have we been up to this time? Well, if you know anything about the play Waiting for Godot, not saying you do or you don't, but if you do, you kind of know the basic gist of it. It's Samuel Beckett's, probably his most famous play, at least, and it centres around these two lads, and they're waiting for somebody, this Godot, who is plot spoiler, who never shows up. That it's just a lot of waiting. Now, there's also a couple of other characters that come in, but in all, there's only 5 characters in the whole play, apart from Godot. Godot doesn't come, he doesn't arrive. Anyway, recently, a production of this Samuel Beckett play had to be cancelled. And, we're gonna just jump in here and see what's going on. This is from the Irish Times, Naomi O'Leary. Writing here, Irish director's all-male Beckett play cancelled as only men could audition.
What?
For an all-male cast. Only men could audition. But it had to be cancelled, seemingly. He considered casting people of other genders, but did not do so because of rules set down by the playwright himself. That's Samuel Beckett. He left very explicit instructions as to how he wanted the play to be set, to be cast, to be performed, which, as the playwright, as the author of the play, it's his right to do so. It's his work. It's his genius. It's his gift to the world. So he left very explicit instructions. And this particular director, this Irish chap, he was trying to follow those instructions, but he got cancelled. So let's try and see exactly how did this odd situation come to pass. Right, Naomi, let's get into it. Let's get into the weeds on this one, see if we can figure out who's to blame, who's at fault. How did this occur? An attempt to stage Waiting for Godot in the Netherlands took on a Beckettian turn when the venue cancelled the performance because the Irish director had auditioned only men for the all-male cast of characters.
This is fucking bullshit.
The horror. Quote, I would wholeheartedly say that in my life in the past few weeks has become utterly absurd, said Donegal native Oisin Moyne, who had hoped to make his directorial debut with the Samuel Beckett work about the irrationalism of life, as he immediately bumped into the modern-day irrationalism of life, it seems. The play, in which Vladimir and Estragon are occasionally joined by other male characters as they await someone who never arrives, had been in rehearsal since November and was due to be staged at the University of Groningen's USVA Student Cultural Centre in March, but performances were cancelled after the venue discovered the casting call for the play's 5 male roles had been open to men only. Something, they informed the production team, went against the university inclusivity policy. Is it just me? The fact that he was auditioning males for male parts is the problem, according to the university. You see,
this is cancer.
I sometimes think it's just me. It's me. I don't think it's just me. I think the world has gone mad. This is when you let lunatics run the asylum. This is what you get. This is what you get. Quote, let's at least read on. If it concerned a play with 5 white guys that they'd held open auditions for, everything would have been fine. But you can't ban people right from the start. USVA theatre programmer Bram Doe's Dowes told the Ukraine newspaper. A spokesperson for the University of Groningen said that times had moved on since the play was first staged in 1953. Yes, well, possibly so. In fact, undoubtedly so. But the nub of the matter here is that Samuel Beckett, the playwright, the author of the play, he left very, very specific instructions for how he wanted it to be performed, to be played. Now, I would be of the mind that, look, if he didn't leave any instructions, just wrote the play and kind of let it fly. Do what you like, cast leprechauns in it if you want, cast Aborigines, cast Eskimos, cast women, men, anything in between. Who cares? As is the case with most works, let's be honest. You'll often see plays that were used to be staged one particular way, and are staged in a completely different setting, or with different types of people in roles that used to be a certain type of person. They're switching, gender swapping, they're race swapping. And all that's fair enough, I think. But when the playwright, when the author specifically states a thing, I think you should be respectful of that. I think that's when you have to say, okay, look, this was a gift from this person, the work of genius, and he specifically wanted it done a certain way, and he explicitly said he wanted that, left very clear instructions. Then I think you have to respect the initial instructions there, the playwright's words on that. Now let's read on. Beckett explicitly stated that this play should be performed by 5 men. Moving forward, times have changed, and that the idea that only men are suitable for this role is outdated and even discriminatory. Well, we can't take it up with Beckett because he died in 1989, so anyway, that's neither here nor there. The university press officer Elise Cohenhoven said. So yeah, okay, you get these crackers in university, and they're diversity inclusivity officers, and they're all these kind of makey-uppy term names, and they're basically the people who are out there trying to police the unpoliceable, and if you go against them, it doesn't matter what logic or lack of logic is involved, they'll come down and they'll put it in the bin, and they've put this thing in the bin because anyway, you know why. We as a university, said Ms. or Mrs. Cohenhoven, Elise Cohenhoven, we as a university stand for an open, inclusive community where it is not appropriate to exclude others on any basis. That's what she said. See, it sounds great, doesn't it? That sounds absolutely marvellous. It sounds like peace and love and goodwill to all men and women and others. It sounds marvellous. It's like John Lennon's Imagine. Sounds absolutely wonderful. Except it doesn't always work, That's a rule that somebody wrote down and thought, wow, that's amazing. That's just beautiful. Yeah, except you come across something like this, and now your rule turns out to be, well, it doesn't quite work in the real world. Anyway, Mr. Moyne told the Irish Times he had considered casting people of other genders for the roles, but could not do so because of the rules set down by the playwright before his death and upheld by the Beckett estate, which I assume controls the whole rights for the whole thing, since Samuel isn't around himself these days. Beckett sued a Dutch theatre company in 1988 for choosing to cast women in the play, the best known work from the theatre of the absurd movement. His estate holds the rights to the work until 2059 and has continued to oppose productions that deviate from Beckett's instructions. So he died in 89, and in 1988, a year before he died, he was still very much opposed to people just doing their own thing. He was saying, no, look, I wrote this, and I had a vision for this. I want it done a specific way because that's how my vision works. Now, as I said, had he left no instructions, had he not said anything about it, had he not cared anything about it, I say do what you like. Cast who you want. If you want to reimagine it in any setting, age, part of the world, then go for it. Go for it, I say. And people always do, mostly. You'll find the most crazy takes of Romeo and Juliet and other plays and TV shows and songs that we all know and love. People just go wild with them these days, and fair enough. I get it, yeah. But on this specific play by this specific author, he had very specific ideas on it. So the university said, no, sorry, don't care what Beckett had to say. We don't care about Mr. Beckett. Take you and your Mr. Beckett and shove off, because it's not inclusive enough, and we're all about inclusivity. Yeah, anyway, so he was basically suing people left, right and centre because they want to do their own thing, and he said, no, not in my works, you don't. There have been efforts to challenge these restrictions, seen by some as increasingly archaic. In France in 1991, a judge ruled that the play could be performed by a female cast at a festival in Avignon, but only if a letter of objection from the late playwright's representative was read before each show, so that you're in no two minds that they weren't happy. But some judge let it go anyway. In late 2019, an Ohio college cancelled an all-female production of the play, fearing a lawsuit by Beckett's estate. And in 2021, a non-binary member of the Clown Theatre Company, Silent Faces, staged Godot as a woman, a play tackling the gender rules around Beckett's work. Right, fair enough. Okay, well, you can't. Look, that's a different thing altogether. You can't be caught on that one. In the case of the Groningen production, context was laid out in the casting call, which read that, quote, unfortunately, no leniency can be afforded in this casting. And linking to reports about the willingness of the estate to take legal action in the past. They would have sued them. The agency managing the rights did not respond to a request for comment at the time of publication. Why should they? They don't give a toss. The play's producer, Medina Anton 24. These are all young people putting this on, doing their best, and it's all been shelved for some stupid idiots in the fucking university trying to recreate the world a la John Lennon's Imagine. Said the decision to cancel overlooked the important role of the non-acting crew in the production of the play. Quote, although there was a restriction on the actors, there's only 5 actors, lads, in fairness, 5. Which are only 5 people in this production. The rest of our production is majority female, alright? We also have trans people. We have non-binary individuals. The majority of the production is people from the LGBT community, she said. Where's your inclusivity there? That's actually exclusionary to straight people, I would say. If the majority of the people in the production company were LGBT, which is give or take about 4% of the population, then is that not excluding the majority straight people? No, that doesn't work that way. No, probably not. No, it doesn't work that way. Obviously, that's perfectly inclusive. They're majority LGBT in the whole. If you take the whole company as a whole, majority LGBT, majority female, and none of that's exclusionary. That's all absolutely fine. But having 5 male actors, only 5, on the stage because Beckett wrote it that way. That's your problem. That's your problem right there. Yes, that's when it's not inclusive enough. Now, the fact that the rest, the people all around in the background of the production are all mostly gay and mostly women is absolutely fine. You see, nuts. Anyway, let's read on. I tried to explain to them that it's a legal thing, and that we're a small amateur theatre society, and we cannot afford to be sued. True enough. I mean, that's expensive getting sued for that. By a big estate like the Beckett estate, that wouldn't be cheap. But nothing I could say during the meeting could change their minds. Well, you can't with these people because they're ideologues. They're absolute ideologues. You can't reason with them because they just are fixated. They're fixated on these things, and there's no logic or reason attached to it. They have their ideas. They're absolutely etched into their brains, and I've dealt with people like that. It's like talking to a stone. You're wasting your time. Mine, who moved to Groningen to study physics, he now works locally. He'd been a while, 2 weeks, he said, and stressful for all those involved. I've had to unfortunately tell my parents. He had to tell his parents the show might not be happening, and they were planning to fly over. A friend from home, who I haven't seen in a long time, is visiting the city and was going to see the play, and I had to tell her it wasn't going to happen, he said. So we're a lot of people disappointed, and I think this has bunked the whole thing. He expressed hope that the Cultural Centre would now use the freed up performance slots to host an event to promote inclusivity in theatre. And that they were now seeking a venue so that rehearsals would not go to waste. Well, I hope they find one. I hope they find one, because this is nuts. This is the lunatics are running the asylum over there in Groningen University, or whatever that place is. The lunatics are running the place there. And honestly, this is where it gets you. This whole, we just want to save the world, we want to save, would be nice to everybody, be kind to everybody, love everybody. Why can't we all just, get along? Yeah, it's all fine till something like this comes up, and then you find they're the most unreasonable people in the world. A few members of cast and crew have already made the joke that, hilariously, we're all waiting for Godot now. So there you go. Those men and their menness. Yeah, see, look, this is crazy town. This is crazy town we're talking here. It's not the guy's fault, right? Beckett, he wanted to put on this play because everybody knows this play. He was gonna get a good crowd for this, because it's one of the most famous plays, Waiting for Godot. Everybody knows it, even if you don't know the full spiel of it. Everybody's heard of it. So he was on a winner there, putting this play on, and they'd gone through all the rehearsals. And now you have some crackpot, diversity, inclusivity, or whatever the hell officer in this university, or some makey-uppy position, a person that doesn't have enough real stuff to do. And they go ahead and say, no, sorry, you can't put that on the basis that you've only auditioned men for the 5 male parts. We really are in clown world. Honestly, we really are in clown world. I'm sorry. No. No, you're giving too much power to the crazy people, and this is where it gets you. I'm sorry for the chap, and I hope they find somewhere else. But, yeah, like he said, turns out they're all now waiting for Godot.